oh, but because I know, ready? Here we are. But because I know how the banks work, I'm not going to be stupid enough to take this buy stop because I'm a bank. I know they're watching my stop. So instead of taking that trade, I'm going to be smart about this. Okay, here it goes. I'm going to let it tap in. Then I know it's going to come down here and I'll be long here. Of course. Protect somewhere here. Oh yeah. I got the banks by the fucking throat. Got them on a fucking leash. Good luck, banks. Fuck. Right, all that happens is that no matter what system you choose to trade, boom, I have a system now. What's gonna happen is you're gonna have wins and you're gonna have losses. The one thing that's always gonna happen is your eyes, because of emotion, because of how people are taught, are always going to go onto these losses. And you're going to say, what happens in the losses? And the losses almost always do one of the same things. They tap you in, no matter what this is, buy stops, buy limits, they tap you in, then go against you, then go into your direction. They tap you in, then come back, then go into your direction. They tap you in, they come back, they come down, they tap in, they create another tap, they come down, and then they go in your direction, right? Like, so what happens is your eyes always go to these events and you always start to attribute the same thing to these events. You start going, oh, of course, right? There's liquidity hunters, you know, the stop hunters are coming for me. You know, the fucking JP Morgan has figured out my account number and they are now going to track my trades and come after my one contract long on NQ. And fuck, you know, like this is bad. So our eyes literally begin to focus on everything that has happened from the negative side, and we forget that those are fine given that the positive is good, right? So focus on the whole, and if the whole is unprofitable, then sure, you can look at some of your losses, and if you actually think this is the thing that's stopping you from being profitable, then literally just enter on the breakdown into a long, right? And see what happens. But the reality is, no, I do not think about people stop hunting my stops. I don't think about people like sweeping my stops. That's not how it really works. The only stops I'm thinking about getting swept are the stops primed above continuation highs and every other order that is now going to now use the fact that those highs are getting taken out to double down, to average down, to re-short, to keep getting short, to sell profits. And that's where money is made, right? Real stage twos, real trends come from the fact that people don't want to see continuation, and continuation occurs. And that creates the biggest and most explosive moves because when there is strong sentiment against something happening, well, a lot of money gets poured into it. And the sentiment of the people that understand what's going on is even stronger because they want to gobble all that shit up, right? And go in the opposite direction. So no, I don't think that deeply about it. Because then what's going to happen, right? That basically means we get to this point, right? When this setup sets up right here, what does that mean I should be doing? Oh, but because I know, ready? Here we are. But because I know how the banks work, I'm not going to be stupid enough to take this buy stop because I'm a bank. I know they're watching my stop. So instead of taking that trade, I'm going to be smart about this. Okay, here it goes. I'm going to let it tap in. Then I know it's going to come down here. And I'll be long here. Of course. Protect somewhere here. Oh yeah. I got the banks by the fucking throat. Got them on a fucking leash. Good luck, banks. Fuck. But why does every trade I take go without me? Like, and then the opposite side of it is the problem. So I would not attribute the whole stop hunt reversals, they're coming for my stops shit. Like, I would not focus on that at all, right? I would just focus on what are the actions that you're doing leading to as a whole in terms of output, right? From losses and winners. That's it. That's all that matters, right? I would not focus so much on the opposite. And like the same thing goes, like I've seen it happen for the futures markets too. Like, the trades would still look similar in terms of being like good trades or whatever. And yeah, you just play them. Like, Like, I don't know, like, if you're trying to long this MMB on this day, or this one here, like, what are you gonna do? Is your goal gonna be to, but wait, this is that moment. We will come take out the high, to come down for the low here, and here, and here, and then I'll enter here, like, you know, it doesn't make sense. So what are we trying to do? Yeah. So no, I have not noticed it, personally. Any reason why you didn't enter the double MB inside the MMB1 on hymns? So let's do a quick breakdown on hymns, and that's a fine question, so we'll talk about it right now. Let's actually go out of this too. There we go. So hymns, very quickly. Let's just get this one out of the way. Number one is I had this thing show up on this scan right here. So something that I do within my screener is I have a 10 candle change set to my entry time frame. Let me open this up so you can see it, edit column. So I have a 10 candle change set to absolute for my entry time frame, which, you know, I switch between 2 hour and 1 hour based on if I'm looking at stocks or on stocks or at cryptos or FX. Because on FX, since there's more hours in the day for FX in terms of candles, I'll switch up to a higher time frame. But usually I'm on the hourly. So all this means when I have this set up is that in the last 10 candles, from whatever like low to whatever high, what's the lowest low to whatever high, has made a move. That's really it. So, you know, if there's a market, not calculator, sorry. So if there's a market and it's gone like the last 10 candles, something like this, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? Let's say the last 10 candles have been like that. This is the area we're looking at. And this might be like 30% or whatever, right? It's just a number. So all I'm doing is I have this set up like so, just from top to bottom, to see what is starting to move or what is moving overall, right? So when I had this set up as such, and I was looking from kind of top to bottom on the day of, because I'm looking at these on the day of, and I also, just so you guys know, just for simplicity purposes, I had a EMA 10 set up for a 15-minute. So again, I just went lower than my entry time frame because I want something that's already starting to validate on an even lower. So think about E micro almost. So it's not perfect E micro, it's just like somewhere around there, like a secondary E almost. But I'm just looking for a filter that's telling me that something has like started to break higher or move higher. And then I have like, I had a very simple, like prices just above the V timeframes, 20 EMA. And on this list, HIMS, the market I traded, showed up on, let me actually show you all, showed up on this day, right here. Okay, because this was the day before. So this is the day it showed up. And it showed up, as you can see, like there's about 10 candles, go 10 candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So from low to high, right? You could see around a 9% kind of gainer on this thing. And so I'm just going through the list to see what's going on. Now, when I got to this thing, I believe this has already started playing out in terms of like this leg was already made, and this high, even though I think this is what Baby is asking about, like, why didn't you trade this one? Because there's kind of like MB1, MB2, or MB1, MB2. So already you can maybe start to see why I didn't trade it. One, because I can't really see the double MB. It's very hard to determine where it is. If I get rid of the wick, then I guess it's something like this, right? If I look at all this prior action, maybe this is the double MB, right? This was maybe your best chance to say there's a double MB, but then it might be this one here. So again, if you kind of look at it, the double MB is not that clean or easy to find or makes much sense. So all I had when I got to this market, when I just am going through the scans, is, okay, we have a market that's made a beautiful stage 2. It started to flush, and it flushed 2 or below the 20 in this case, which is perfectly fine for me. And it hasn't really made a point that has been buyable yet. If you actually follow it, right, nothing buyable, comes down, kind of comes up. This is the only time that maybe you could buy it. But again, this is not the kind of trades that I like this is not the kind of action I like to see, so it doesn't even matter. So I'm not considering this as a long, right? Then this one, and at the time of looking at this, right, this is the MB or double MB that happened that is kind of holding up, but this is complete shit action, right? I'm not going to buy stop like basically wicks. I don't want to buy stop MBs that don't look clean. I want to buy stop things that look like this, that make it very clear to me that this is an ongoing demand buildup or of demand coming in, right? I don't want to play the stuff that's like, well, but maybe, you know, what is it going to do? It's all wiki, it's all fun, right? Or think like to an FX pair, oh, it's all wiki, it's all fun. Let's see what this one's about to do. Or think to J&J when I shared it this week in the mentfx trade updates. I'll talk about that one in a second, right? I want something that's extremely clean, that's extremely clear. So if you're asking specifically for Baby about this double MB here, the first question is, where is the actual double MB? The second one is, do you personally see this as clean? And the third one is, I didn't enter it because it's just not a clean double MB, right? If it wanted to be a clean double MB, I would probably assume that here it maybe drops down deeper, makes that MB, and then maybe like this candle doesn't look as bad here under like the MAs, and then I can buy stop somewhere here like that for the entry. That could make a lot more sense for a double MB. So instead, what happens is when I find this thing through the screener and it shows up just on my natural daily scan, I'm just looking through it, I see this market right here. And all I'm thinking to myself is, okay, we have MMB delivery or MMB reset delivery into this move here. So I can probably take a long on this on the next day, given that it doesn't like gap up over it or anything, or doesn't gap down randomly. Because like if price gaps down and opens here, then it's very hard to take a trade like this. Like I have more uncertainty on it. But if price continues to kind of maintain this area here, I can enter with a stop either below this low or below the actual candle. I didn't really mind either way, right? The smaller my stop can be, the better my RR is on the upside, right? That's the simplest way that it works. So at this time as well, if we go and look at some of the comparative markets, so let me look at QQQ here, so NASDAQ, right? You'll see that this thing hasn't shown a lot of strength in relation to the fact that the cycle here has been playing out for a very long time. But in given scenarios, this is completely okay, because when you become overextended in an overall like bullish market, things that never might have been invested into start getting invested into and show their own form of strength. That's exactly what happened here, right? So all of a sudden, new big bullish moves are coming in on a market when the overall market is starting to kind of sluggishly, well, still sluggishly-ish, but just moving forward and moving higher and slowly moving higher and putting in MMBs or whatever it might be. This thing starts its own mini move. So the game here is okay, right? I'm willing to take risk into the MMBs that start delivering, into the MMBs that start pausing. The MMBs are pausing right on the averages, is exactly what I want to see. Hitting the 5, which means the 5 and the 10 are being bought up. Think back to some of the prior webinars where we spoke about Warren Buffett and the way that he actually invests, right? This is the same thing from the portal, if you guys remember, but comp set operator is buying in, even if they're not aware of it because of the way the market functions. Comp set operators are buying attractive trends or attractive markets via corrections. Not necessarily by looking at the averages, but by understanding that if you want to get into a market that you think is very powerful, you're going to buy on any weaknesses in that market. So for instance, if you're someone that works as a very high level oil executive or whatever, right? Let's just say that, and you know something about oil, like let's say it's going to be worth a fuck ton more, okay? And right now oil's at $100. So don't even think about averages, don't think about prices, don't think about charts. Let's say you know about oil because you're an executive, you're a fucking genius, have inside information, so you want to buy more oil, okay? Because you know this is going to like 130. What are you going to do when it's at 100? Are you going to sit on your hands? If you know it's going to 130, and you're an oil executive fucking genius or whatever, well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to buy some oil, right? Even at 100. Let's say that's the all-time high it's ever been at. You're going to buy some oil. Now, let me ask you guys, if you're an oil executive with billions of dollars and you're not going in with all your money because you're not a fucking idiot, and then it goes to 98, what are you doing? You're probably buying a little bit more than you had bought when you were at 100 because it's worth even more now to buy. And if it randomly goes to 90, what are you doing? You buy a little bit more. Yeah, so like this is the genius way to think. Now, what do you think that actually looks like in a chart when something is on a spree or very high up and then starts to drop down? And the second it drops down, even a little bit, like to 90, huge buying steps in. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's starting to look like the mentfx course. That's fucking crazy, right? Now, if we think to Warren Buffett, again, here we go with Apple as just an easy example. He bought it here. Or here. One of these. But I think here. The second Apple, and he thought it should be worth more, went on its first year of going down, or started going down. The first year it started going down. What did he do? He bought even more. Why? Because, hey, he thinks it's going to 300 or whatever, right? So he might as well buy it if it's coming down. And as such, we get visual proof that there is huge demand for these things. That's how demand is created. That's how demand works. That's how we see demand visually, right? So when I go back to HIMS, in terms of my trade here, that's all I see. All I see is something that has started to make a move in an overall bullish market where everything is good on a market that I've looked at before, that I've had on my list before, that I know has made really good moves before. So that was all a little bit of added conviction to what I was doing. Has just moved out of accumulation MB or MMB1 and then starts to sell and pause on rising averages without being able to go lower, right? Again, if you're someone that is an executive on the inside of HIMS that knows this thing is going to $70, what are you doing when it's at 60? You're buying. What are you doing when it dips into 55? You're buying more. The second it has an actual down day into like 54 and it's down that much, what do? You buy like a fucking truck, right? If you really believe in it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And guess what that looks like visually? Well, the visual confirmation is hold the fuck up. We're buying on the rising 5, 10, and 20. So welcome to why what we do works from a trending perspective, right? It's not just random witchcraft. So here we go with the hourly, my bad. So we have our flush and we have our push, and I'm way not like, I just don't have enough confidence to buy trades that look like this. So I don't end up entering this one here at all. And as it moves higher and pauses, and this is exactly what I see on the day that I check my screener, all I do is I flag this for the next day. And I say, okay, I want to be long on this thing likely. And the next day when it opens here, then I'm instantly buy stopping into this thing. So buy stops above high. And the rest was fucking history, right? Now, again, to put it in the best way and visual format that I can for everyone, I do not know if things are going to go, keep going, come back, or do any of the nature. So all I can now do is follow my rules. So even when a trade, as it currently stands, has gone up over 8 RR, I have only pulled out 1.4 RR out of it. Because I'm not here to bullshit you about the money or lack of money or RR that I'm taking out of a trade. I'm not here to tell you that because it ran 9 RR, we are all successful and it all makes sense now and I'm making a fuck ton of money. I am simply here to show you and show you over and over and over again that I do nothing more than follow the best rules that I possibly have at the moment that I am happy with executing. Right? That's it. So even when a trade does something amazing like this or whatever, I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, you know, that I pulled out 8R out of it or 5R or 6R and I somehow predicted this and that. I'm just going to tell you exactly as it is. Now, I could have probably maybe held through this and partialed up here. As price began to pause and create these lows, I could have just set a partial here, or even closed out, but that's the game that I play. And at the moment, my goal was to only, wait. Oh my God, I'm an idiot. Guys, I'm actually an idiot. I hope this goes okay. Ooh, that's not good. I might actually take a bigger loss on this now. I usually have my position, especially if it's at near break even, closed fully before earnings, and earnings is on Monday. So hopefully they do it. Oh, they're doing it after the. Whew! They do it after the day. Whew! We're good. Everyone, we're all good. We're saved our money. Okay, we're fine. Yeah, I usually never miss this. So that was actually dumb mistake on my part. But nonetheless, if we didn't have this earnings thing here, I'd be more than happy to continue to hold this. I should have closed this, by the way, just so you guys know. Seeing men panic. Yeah, that was actually panic moment. That was almost like big flubber. Now again, it could have worked out, right? It could have also gapped up 5 million and made me a lot of money. But, you know, if it gaps like it normally can, like whatever, 10%, like if it gaps here, that would suck, right? It wouldn't even be that detrimental. It would just be annoying because like from a 106 to a 500, what's that? That's 5x. So it'd be a minus 2.5 R. So it'd be minus 2.5 plus my 1.4. So overall, it'd only lose minus 1 R, even if it gaps to here. So think about this. This is why management is so important. Even if it gapped here, I would lose minus 1 R total. Think about that for a second. Right? So if it gaps here, I take minus 1 R, minus 1.1 R overall in this trade, which is, you know, it sucks, but you get to also see visually why it's so important to have management rules. Now, I did fuck up by not seeing this thing, or maybe I saw it and because I knew it was after time, I just completely ignored it, but that's something you need to keep an eye on. Red news, you don't want to be there when you're at break even, generally. Luckily, I have some money already closed on this, which means that even a gap against me could still be completely okay. But nonetheless, all I did is set up the buy stop through this leg. Insane push came from this. As this candle put in a low, I put my stop loss at the low, and then I got stopped out for half right by that little wick, which was the, what do you call this, guys? This was the fucking market makers taking my money away from me right there. These fuckers, these little market makers, bro, hunting my stops.